Hi, today we're going to talk about the Lewis and Clark Conservation District's pollinators and pollinator habitat program. It's our pollinator initiative. We've been running this initiative since 2020, and we um, have grown our program considerably. Um, the We started with 2 mixes and we're up to 4. But let's just start with an overview. So we're going to talk today about what a pollinator is, the importance of pollinators, Montana native pollinators, pollinators in your garden, and some other land management tips. So the parts of a flower are shown in the photo off to the right there. Um, we need our pollinator species to uh, to pollinate those flowers, whether they're native flowers, introduced flowers, stuff in your garden that you're wanting to grow for food, and so on and so forth. Different types of pollinating species are bats, butterflies, moths, flies, beetles, honeybees, and native bees. Montana is unique in that we have many species of native bees that other states don't have any longer because um, they've just died out. So you might ask why bee diversity is essential for maintaining crops and why urban gardens are a lifeline for the world's pollinators. Uh, the urban gardens creates little micro areas for pollinating species to exist and to thrive. Um, and bee diversity is particularly essential for maintaining crops. And that means the food that we eat, the food that we all eat, the food that our animals eat. 85% of flowering plants require some sort of pollination, and 2/3 of the world's crop species also require pollination. In the US alone, more than 100 species need or benefit from pollinators. Roughly 1 in 3 bites of the food we eat are due to the pollinating species that we have in our world, and they add $3 billion per year to the US economy. Fruits, vegetables, cereals, livestock forage, fibers, all those things are beneficial or benefit from pollinating species. If you take a look at these pictures, it's just a general grocery store. When I say 1 in 3 bites of food that we eat, this is what we're talking about. If the pollinating species were not around, we wouldn't look like this anymore. It would look like this. So we have 450 species of native bees in the state of Montana with 32 species of bumblebees. Um, we don't just focus on the honeybee. We want to look at all the different types of pollinating species that we have. We've seen pollinator decline in the U.S. Over the last several years. We can attribute that decline to a number of things: disease with mites and such, pesticide use like herbicide that kills not only the species it's trying to kill, but it also kills the pollinating species that are using those plants, and habitat loss. This is a photo of the East Helena Valley, 1997 on the left, 2023 on the right. If you look closely, you can see that there are so many areas that were open that are now filled in with houses and lawns. And as you know, maybe you don't know, that lawns are not great for pollinating species. Key for pollinator habitat is diversity of plants and a protection of the nesting areas, site selection and management, and a pesticide-free environment. First, we're going to look at diversity. This is a screenshot of a publication from the United States Department of Agriculture that has a list of pollinator species specific to Montana with their bloom times. It's a really great publication, and the Conservation District has some of these if you want to reach out and get some. The key with this is that if you're going to plant pollinators, you want to make sure that you have the bloom period needs to cross the whole growing year. So you want some in the early, some in the mid, and some in the late. Otherwise, you're just creating food for the pollinating species in one time or 2 times of the year. There are also a lot of native shrubs to consider. This is also a publication from the United States Department of Agriculture that the district has available. And we've actually linked both of those on our pollinator page on our website. Second, we're looking at site selection and management. You want to alternate your mowing and any other disturbance, especially during bloom time. You want to make sure that you're not disturbing all of the areas at once. You want to create a buffer zone from any disturbance or chemical areas. So this would look like if you have a lawn and then you have a pollinator species, you want to have this area around the pollinator plantings that you're not going to be mowing too closely to those because it will disturb the pollinating creatures. At the end of the season, you want to leave your garden messy. This is handy for those of us who maybe don't like to do yard work in the fall, but you want to keep them messy, and you want to consider leaving weeds that aren't terrible. Obviously, you don't want weeds taking over your pollinator area, but you can leave a few weeds if they're not intrusive. And if you do deal with the weeds, hand pull or mow the weeds. Roughly 70% of the native bee species nest underground. That's a huge percentage. They look like ant nests from above, but the chambers are lined with a waxy secretion and they can resist some flooding even. So be on the lookout for ground pollination species, ground pollinator species. Number 3, we talked about a herbicide and pesticide free environment. You want to at least minimize your herbicide pesticide use. Make sure that you're spraying in the correct times and in the correct locations. If you have to spray, please read the labels. And if you don't know what you're doing, contact somebody like the weed district in Lewis and Clark County to give you some recommendations on when to spray, when not to spray, where to spray, where not to spray. Don't create a trap. So don't spray all the way around your area, your pollinator species. Make sure you talk to your neighbors before you spray. If you live close to somebody, you don't want drift to go take over their yard. You want direct contact when you do spray. You want some residue contact that isn't going to, the residue contact will happen when your pollinator species visit the flowers or if you walk on leaves that have been treated with herbicide. You don't want to contaminate the nesting material and you don't want to contaminate nesting areas. A little bit about our program. We started, as I said, in the fall of 2020. Seems like a strange time to start a program, but native seed in particular responds well to fall plantings. We were participating with another conservation district who wrote a grant for the entire area. So there were, I think, 8 or 9 of us who participated that first year. We gave out free pollinator seed for the landowners of Lewis and Clark County. And since 2020 through 2024, we've had 286 participants and over 15 acres of seed distributed. This is as of spring of 2024. We are up to 4 seed mixes. One is a conservation mix. It's weed competitive. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. The seed mixes were all developed with the assistance of the local NRCS office. They are tolerant of our area environment. We provide self-monitoring tools for you to help improve our seed mixes, and we really highly recommend that you do proper plot preparation. One of our mixes is the native mix. There's some grass that comes along with it. It doesn't come in the mix, it comes alongside if it's optional. Those are the species in the photos that are in that mix. If you have a weed competitive area, we recommend the conservation mix. It has 2 different types of grasses. One is native, it's a slender wheatgrass, and then the tall wheatgrass as well. Otherwise, it has these species in it. All are great species. They are more weed competitive. They're not gonna like take over your area, but they're gonna be a little bit more competitive with any existing weed species. In the last few years, we've added the backyard mix or the urban mix. This is for smaller parcels. although we have had people take up to 2,500 square foot pack of these. There's only two of these that are non-native species, the Lacey facilia and the small Burnet are not native, but they're good species for this area. New this year is our high elevation mix. Uh, this does come with blue bunch wheatgrass. It's a native grass to the state of Montana. It is mixed into the mix. Uh, there is one species in this mix that is not native, but it is nearby in Wyoming, and that is the Rocky Mountain penstemon. So kind of your take homes from this are that pollinators are critical to our food systems and our natural systems. You know, diversity is key, whether it's native plants or introduced plants that aren't going to take over and become weedy. Native plants, though, are best for our native pollinators. Please consider your site and the management that's going to be required. Reduce or eliminate your use of pesticides, and gardeners, home gardeners, have an important role in promoting and protecting pollinator habitat. Not only do they benefit the pollinators themselves, but they benefit as a result from that diversity by having more pollinators come visit their home garden. We have some other resources available besides those two publications. If you check into the Montana Pollinator Education Project and the Pollinator Partnership and the Xerces Society, there are a ton of online materials for you guys to take a look at. If you're looking for something specific, let me know at the office and I will see what I can do to help you find those. If you have any questions, give us a call. There's my email address and my work phone number. We are ramping up the pollinator program for 2025. I'm bagging seed right now, and we will be distributing. We've already got over 70 people on that sign up list. So have a good day. Thanks.